So big changes, Zimbabwe. What do you expect to happen tourism-wise over the next year?
We expect tourism to grow phenomenal, to grow tremendously, to grow rapidly for that matter anyway. Tourism maybe is the biggest beneficiary of the changes that have taken place in Zimbabwe.
And what do you need to happen for tourism to grow at the rate that you expect? What would you like to see happening with infrastructure and access and marketing to bring this growth?
There's a lot of things. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that we need to do. We lost 18 years. That is the effect of the economy from 2000 to 2018. That is the years that have been put to waste by what we did, and we don't want to go back to that era again. Zimbabwe is in a new era, it's a new dispensation, and we think that a lot of things have to be done to correct the things that we messed up in 18 years. So when you say what needs to be done, it's a very difficult question. It's a long list of what needs to be done. But if you say what needs not to be done, then it's a shorter list. So what needs to be done is a very long list. An airport is an airport, but an airport without traffic doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to have an airport. You can build as many airports, as big airports as we want. But what do we need? We need traffic. We need air access from the markets. We messed up the markets. The markets are resisting us. We need to tell them that we are now serious about you. We must be telling the market that we are now serious about the markets. We must tell the market that no, what we are doing now will not be reversed again. That's what I'm saying. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. Airports, yes, but airports are built for a purpose. No one comes to any country because there's an airport. No. An airport is just a facilitating. It's a facility that facilitates the movement of people. So we need a real serious aggression in terms of what we do in the markets, so that the markets believe in us, so that the markets will then come to us. So if we talk about aviation, that is an area where we have some work to do there. But like you know that the 18 years that I said it's a missed opportunity which we lost. We need to really regain the 18 years that we lost. So from tourism point of view, we are saying that we need to see, like I said earlier on, with this new administration now in place, the new government now in place, the new dispensation now in place, whatever you call it, we need to see phenomenal growth in terms of tourism arrivals. And I think that is the case. We are seeing a lot of, like I said, we are seeing a lot of rapid growth in tourism. But the only problem that we are having is that the demand on our facility might not be able to meet the supply might not be able to meet the demand. So we need also to invest in tourism infrastructure, in hotel accommodation. Zimbabwe as a whole is under hotel. If you look at some pockets of Zimbabwe, like Victoria Falls, you find a situation where, at the moment, if you don't have a room in Victoria Falls for July, August, September, and October, don't even bother coming there because it's full. That means that we are seeing a very big difference in the response of markets to this. But we lost 18 years because there was no single hotel in 18 years that was built in Victoria Falls. That's what I'm saying. Apart from here and there minor improvements, here and there minor expansions here and there, but there's no single hotel that was built in Victoria Falls in 18 years. So if you go for an 18-year period without putting up new infrastructure and we are putting up a lot of unfriendly policies For example, Zimbabwe had what they called Zimbabwe indigenization law. The indigenization law said that anyone who wants to invest in Zimbabwe must surrender 51% and he remains with 49%. What does that mean literally translated? If you come with your 100 million to invest in Zimbabwe, by the moment you land at the airport, you are only left with 49 million. So who would want to invest in such an environment? So the government the leadership is undoing most of these things, undoing a lot of what was done in the previous era. So we think, yes, we are in for a big ride, but it's pleasing because we are seeing that tourism is on a growth trajectory.
Is there a quick fix for the hotel shortage? Would Airbnb or would a strong B&B movement with the local people?
Airbnb is already in Harare. It's already in Zimbabwe. It's already operating in Zimbabwe. But the problem with this Airbnb, we don't know its database. We don't know who is who. We can't trace its database. It does it on its own. So we can't count its stock. Saying Airbnb has got so many stock of rooms. There's anyone in the world cannot tell what stock is Airbnb has in their country. So we can't count something that we cannot measure. We can't, and that is the problem with Airbnb.
You can't tax it. It's hard to get revenue from it.
Taxing is another area, but we're talking about the supply meeting demand. That's what I'm saying. We cannot use Airbnb for our projections in the future because we don't know what Airbnb does. I guess you agree with me.
Is there a list of routes you'd love to see starting, long aviation routes that you do not have in Zimbabwe that you would like to see? What cities would you like
Definitely
to see?
we cannot, we are going back into the Commonwealth. I think so. From the look of things, I see a lot of movement between Harare and London. The Foreign Affairs Minister was there, and I know that my president is planning to go there, I think maybe before the end of the year. So I think we are going to go back into the Commonwealth. I don't think we will not we will remain out of the Commonwealth for long. We're a former British colony, and the ties that are there between Zimbabwe and London, between Harare and London, are very strong. So the first market I would want to look is look at our former colony, our master, our British. We need to see air connectivity between London and Harare. That is, you said which one do you want to look at? We want to look at all former markets that used to fly into Zimbabwe, Paris, that is France, Frankfurt, Munich, that is Germany, everywhere else in London, in Europe. Most of European carriers were flying into Harare, and they stopped because when we claimed our land, they stopped coming to Harare. So basically what we are simply saying is that we need to revive those routes. The national carrier is a tricky situation. We now have two national carriers. We have our traditional Air Zimbabwe, with its tradition of carrying, and we now have Zim Airways, Zimbabwe Airways, which we don't really know exactly its plans, where it will be flying to. We have not sit down with them, but so we cannot talk of a national carrier where there's this confusion, where we have got Zim Airways on the other end and Air Zimbabwe on the other end. So it will be very unfortunate for me to say I think Air Zimbabwe will be revived in so many years. Because I don't see Zimbabwe getting revived when the state is now procured another and established another carrier. But we don't know much about the new outfit. They come in via Johannesburg, via Emirates, via Addis Ababa. Yeah, but it's too late. So we want British Airways to reconsider reopening the route between London and Harare. Yeah.
Are there incentives in place in the modern aviation world?
They will be there. We must not lag behind. We must also go the route where everyone else is going. We must give them incentives. We must give them a grace period where the landing fees are not charged. Grace period where they don't have to pay for parking fees. A grace period where they cannot, where they don't have to pay for route navigation fees. Grace period where even handling charges, ground handling on its own, is drastically reduced. That is the only way we can be competitive.
Are there any international events happening in Zimbabwe in the next year or so? Worldwide events? Or are you bringing international visitors through sport or?
Well, what are you saying?
Any international events that will put Zimbabwe on the map?
Yeah, of course. We have a lot of international events, and just now we are just coming out of Haifa. It's a Harare International Festival of the Arts, which attracts a very huge, participant group from the international community, from America, Europe, everywhere, Asia. It's just ended this last weekend. We've got our own Harare International Carnival. That is a huge event. Maybe the biggest event in Africa south of the Sahara.
How is the currency now? There was a time when you were getting crazy currency in Zimbabwe.
You use US dollars.
Uh-huh.
And we were told that there's a it's fine for the dollar notes, but there's a shortage of coin. Would that still be the case?
Yeah, I think the situation is slightly the same, but I don't look at that as a major issue, because I think in Zimbabwe, more than 95% of the people are using plastic money. And more than 95% of the people use plastic money. And our tourists, if they come to Zimbabwe, they must use plastic money. No one wants to carry a lot of cash to come to Zimbabwe. In the past, we had a problem with the tourists saying, we need you to use, we can't use our Visa cards, we can't use our MasterCards. What are you doing about this? Now we sorted it out. They can bring their Visa cards, they can bring their any card, and they can use it in Zimbabwe. So the issue of shortage of cash, yes, it's to a minor problem, because when we look at what we are doing, most of our tourists, most of them, if not all of them, they have plastic money. They've got one card or another for paying whatever they consume in Zimbabwe. So Zimbabwe is now a plastic money country. So I don't think it's an issue.
Have you a message for the travel agents, the trade of Europe from Zimbabwe on behalf of tourism?
Zimbabwe is open for business. That's our message. The message that the president is taking all over the world. Zimbabwe is open for business. From a tourism point of view, we are open for tourism. We are really open for tourism.
And the selling points for people selling holidays in Zimbabwe that will distinguish you from the neighbours. What are the main things we should be saying?
Our unique selling point, like I say, like I always tell my colleagues, including here, seated here, it's not the Victoria Falls. Yes, the Victoria Falls cannot be found anywhere else. If you want to see the Victoria Falls, you have to come to Zimbabwe. Or alternatively, if you want to see it from the back, you can go to Zambia. But if you want to see it from the front, you have to come to Zimbabwe. That's as open as it is. But it's not our unique selling point. Our unique selling point is the peace that prevails in Zimbabwe. There is no crime that has been committed on any. I can say this with big pride on any tourist. Tourists who come to Zimbabwe leave Zimbabwe in peace without any disturbances. But in other countries, we know that tourists go through a lot of hell. Some countries, they even killed. There are a lot of countries where there is a lot of gun crime. In Zimbabwe, that is unknown.
That's a very important message to get across.
Yeah, it's very unknown. So peace and tranquility that exists in Zimbabwe is our unique selling point. I want to know who can beat us on that. If the World Economic Forum say we are number one in the world in terms of peace, so who can argue against the World Economic Forum? It's an authority. So I think we are underplaying what peace can do to our travel industry. We cannot surrender for whatever reason, and we've been saying this. We can't surrender the UK market to anyone. We've been continuously soldiering on because it's a market that is important to us, because of the links, like which I said earlier on, between the United Kingdom and Zimbabwe, by being a former British colony, Britain itself by being our former colonial master. There are strong links that go beyond social, just social links or economic links. No, there are very strong links that even trace us to bedrooms. Some Zimbabweans are married to the British people. That is links that are even traced to the bedrooms. So we cannot surrender that market to anyone for whatever reason. And we are seriously playing in that market. We at home we've put a platform which is in constant touch and in constant communication with the British market. That is digital marketing, which is now happening. And we are going to appoint this half of the year, before end of June, a market representative company that is going to be really working for us in the United Kingdom market. Yes, we've got an officer there, but she's only one officer. She cannot do much. She can do only to this extent, Felicia. She can only do as little as she can do. But she has got limited because of numbers. We need to flood the British market with our own market representation. And we are going to see a lot of improvement in that market, like you said, yeah.
We're relying on investment from the private sector.
Yeah?
Relying on investment from the private sector.
Yeah, that is true. We in terms of our national tourism sector strategy that we have just completed, the private sector plays a very pivotal role. Yes. The private sector is the center pivot of tourism.
The quality of the game stock was one of the things that we were told had been depleted in that period of 18 years. The wildlife, the safari product. Can you give a reassurance on that? Because there are...
We are serious now. We are very serious. We suspect that when the center is no longer holding, everything falls apart. And what I'm saying here, I'm referring to the center of government. The president was no longer really holding. People were doing what they want, to the extent that even, and it affected every other sector of the economy, every other sphere of the social fabric, to the extent that poaching was not very being taken care of. But now I can assure you, you will not see no poaching will take place. The center is very strong, the center is holding, the center is gripping. So when the center is gripping, I don't think anything can happen.